God called you to write a book. You poured your heart into it. You put the energy, the time, and the finances in to make it happen and finally published your book. Your friends and family rejoiced with you. They were happy with you. They even bought your book, but it never sold more than 250 copies or even less. You are not alone. Did you know that the most Christian authors sell an average of around 250 books? That is heartbreaking when you consider all the time, the love, the energy, the resources that it takes to write and publish a book. And then there's that little voice in the back of your head saying, did God really say? Did God really call me to write this book? In this episode of Answering the Call to Write, I'm going to explore the reasons why your book may not be selling, what I have learned as a Christian author, and what you can do practically to get your message out into the world and go and change the lives that you were called to reach. Welcome, awesome authors. You are listening to the Answering the Call to Write podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Farndale, and this episode is brought to you by Paper Crown Media. Hello, awesome authors, and welcome to this episode of Answering the Call to Write. My name is Melissa Farndale. I am a Christian author of nonfiction as well as children's books, and I have been on this journey myself, so I completely understand how it feels when you pour your heart and soul and lots of finances into writing, publishing, and promoting the book that God has called you to write. I wrote my first book, Untangled, because I felt God call me to share my God encounter story with the world. I knew that there was a message that I was carrying in my heart that was going to be life transforming for people who were tangled up in the lies of the enemy, people who needed to discover their true identity and their purpose. And the way they were going to discover that was by encountering the love of God. The passion in my heart was to get that message out into the world. It took me 10 years to build up the confidence to just simply share my story. 1 year for my birthday, my husband bought me a laptop and said, go and write your book. You've had all these prophetic words. People keep telling you that you need to write a book. I want you to go and write this book. So I opened up my laptop and started writing and just poured my heart and soul onto these pages. Then I shared my manuscript with people that I really admired and I respected, and I did not get good feedback. I did not know how to write a book properly, so I needed to get some mentoring. It took me another 9 months to get the courage to take that manuscript, to dust it off, and to try again. But I did. And I learned how to write a story that's really going to connect with the reader, that's really going to help move the reader out of that place of darkness and bondage and into a place of freedom and truth and love. So I signed up for a brilliant mentoring program, but it came at a cost. It was a cost that I was happy to pay. And to be honest, up till today, it was the best investment I have ever made. And I learned how to write a manuscript that was really going to connect with the people that I wanted to help. Once I had a manuscript that was fit for purpose, I now had to make some more investments. That manuscript needed to be edited. I needed a cover for the book. Then the book needed to be formatted so it could be published on a publishing platform. There is a lot of costs involved in publishing. Whether you are self-publishing or publishing through a hybrid publisher, you may not be paying for a traditional publisher up front, but believe me, you will be paying for the services that they are going to give you to help you polish up your book and make it marketable. So after all these years of pouring my soul and my finances, my heart into this project, I finally had a book that was published. And I wish I could tell you it was straightforward from there. It wasn't, but I don't have time to tell you the full story. But let's just say there is a reason why I am creating these videos and helping authors in this space, especially if you haven't published yet. There are things you need to know and understand about the publishing process so that you don't make costly mistakes like I did. I had lots of friends, family, and people that I've met along the way that were so excited about my book. And then finally, in November 2020, the launch day came, and I was so excited. Finally, I was going to sell some books. And I have to be honest with you, I was deeply disappointed when I actually saw how many book sales I made, even from the very start. And there were reasons why those book sales were so low. In this process of writing and publishing and promoting my book, I have learned valuable lessons, and I'm going to share the 5 most important things that you need to know if you want to sell more than 250 copies of your book. There is a reason why you were called to write. Your book was not just meant for your friends and family. You said yes to your call to write because you wanted to make an impact for the kingdom. You know that your story is valuable and is going to help someone. And we need to get that story into the hands and the hearts of the people who need it most. So let's dive in and look at the top 5 reasons why Christian authors struggle to sell their books. And reason number 1 is that there is a lack of a clear target audience. So many authors that I work with have an incredible story, and their story is powerful. It's going to change lives. And yes, it can change every single life out there. However, if you are trying to reach everyone, you will reach absolutely no one. Your message needs to be for a specific audience so that you know who you are speaking to. If you want to write a book that's going to connect with the heart of the person that you were called to help, then you need to know who that person is. I made the same mistake. I wrote about everything for everyone, and my message was so broad, it had no single core message. My message wasn't focused on the person I was helping, nor was it actually saying how I was helping them. So, defining your specific audience, their age, their gender, their struggle, the reason why they are going through what they are going through, the season of life that they're finding themselves in. All of these questions are so important to help you target your message and know who you're speaking to. So, here is something that really worked for me. When I started rewriting my manuscript, I thought about the person that I was before I had my God encounter. I really thought about that old Melissa. What was she feeling in her state of brokenness? What was she experiencing? I had to go back and remember what it felt like, what I was thinking, how I was behaving, what my circumstances were. And I started to write those pain points down. What was I struggling with? What was the problem I was trying to get breakthrough in? I was a mother who was struggling with mental health and managing a very young family. I was overwhelmed by all the responsibilities in my life when at the same time I was falling apart emotionally. I had no clue who I was and the authority I had as a child of God. So the enemy had a field day with me and really kept me tangled up and bound in my brokenness. So I wrote for that Melissa. I had her in mind as I sat down and wrote my manuscript. My message became personal and it really connected with readers. I still get emails today of readers saying that I have really felt you speak straight to my heart. And what is so interesting is that even though I wrote my book for women, I have had men contact me as well who said that they received incredible revelation and heart transformation through my story. But it is wonderful, especially considering that the book is about a fairy tale. The other problem that I see when I review manuscripts and I see book titles and subtitles and I look at the messaging in the book itself, the messaging is quite weak or unclear. A lot of authors come with fancy, smanchy book titles and they sound beautiful and they sound creative, but unless you have that experience that the author has, the reader is not going to know what the author is trying to say with their book title. So you have to be very, very clear when it comes to your messaging. is your book title actually communicating what your book is going to do for the reader? People read for two reasons. They either want to be entertained or they need a problem solved. So if you are in the nonfiction arena, you really want to make sure that your book is communicating the problem that you are going to solve for the reader and the result. What are they going to experience when they read your book? Clarity always trumps creativity when it comes to nonfiction. So make sure your title, your subtitle, your book blurb on the back cover, your description in Amazon is super clear, speaking specifically to the pain points of the reader and letting them know what the desired outcome is going to be once they read your book. The next problem is one that most authors make, and I include myself in that, and that is not having a marketing plan. Just putting the book out there and believing that God called you to write it, so it is just going to fly off the shelves because it was meant to be, right? Maybe not so simple. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Let me tell you, publishing a book without marketing is also dead. And most people think that marketing a book is simply putting it out on social media or in advertising and asking people to please buy my book. I fell for the same lie. I really struggled in this area as well. I spent many, many hours making beautiful Canva posts for Facebook and Instagram and all these different platforms, desperately trying to get people to look at my book, see how wonderful it is, and just buy this book. I believed in the message. And it was so discouraging when I didn't get the engagement, or people would engage with the post, but they wouldn't actually go and buy the book. And for many years, my book just sat on a digital shelf collecting digital dust. I really needed to make a shift from looking at marketing as this massive obligation to actually looking at marketing as ministry. When I am out there in the world of social media, when I'm sharing on different platforms, I now think about that person when I started writing my book for the person who I was called to help. I started doing my marketing prayerfully, really thinking about what it was that that person needed to hear today. I wasn't really thinking about my book and how many copies I was going to sell, but rather, how can I connect with the person who really needs to hear something that was going to help them get out of that place of darkness and being stuck and tangled up in the lies of the enemy. Apart from the mind shift, I also needed to think more strategically. A lot of authors don't have a specific marketing plan that they can do consistently. They just throw stuff out there and hope something sticks, hope that the algorithm picks them up and the book goes flying off the shelf. If that happens, it is very, very rare. But just because your book isn't flying off the shelf doesn't mean that it isn't a God-ordained message for such a time as this, that it's not anointed, that it's not needed. It is absolutely all of those things. And that is why you need to make sure that you put the time in to learn and to do your marketing really, really well. Marketing is about showing up consistently, solving problems for people, building connection with them, and walking out that thing you were called to do. So let's talk about problem number 4. Just because you have a really brilliant message doesn't mean that people will trust you. Especially in this Christian arena, there are so many voices out there, people who are well known, well established. So why would somebody read a book about faith from you if they can read it from someone like a Joyce Meyer or a Chris Valentin or a Bill Johnson? These are people with big platforms. They are visible. People know them, but they also have results and they have life experience. They are known, so they are trusted. People only trust people who are competent and who they know care about their well-being. So you have to demonstrate this to your audience. Not only are you a competent voice, in this space, in this particular area that you are speaking to, but you also care about them and not just pretend to care, but genuinely care about them. One of my biggest problems was that I had a very limited platform and I had hardly any visibility. So, in order to do your marketing well, you need to have a platform where you can actually start to build your community around before you publish your book. I wish I'd known this before I published Untangled, because I know my book will help people if they read it, but I didn't put the work in before I launched the book. I launched first and then I tried to build the community. And that's such a hard, difficult strategy, which I don't recommend. So if you haven't published yet, please take your time to build your community. You can do that in many various ways. The best way I found is to have a website, have a way that you can collect email addresses, start an email list, start to grow your audience, start to connect with people who are not just interested in a freebie, but they want to really know more about your story. So you will need to get out there, get on social media, start talking, start sharing, even before you publish your book. You can share about your writing journey as well, but start to get community around you so that people know who you are, they get to know your heart, and they can trust you with their hearts. Start solving problems and helping people. Just do it. And you will see that the book sales will become a natural byproduct. It will become a fruit from doing the thing that you were called to do, which is to solve specific problems for specific people. The fifth and final reason in today's episode is trying to make it on your own. And I know this may sound ridiculous, but let me tell you a little secret that I discovered is when you start to connect with people who are on a similar journey as you are, and you can collaborate, you can tap into different people's audiences, it will supercharge your marketing results. There may be people in your audience that will really connect with my message. And likewise, there may be people in my audience that will really connect with your message. So let's get together. Let's collaborate. Let's share our messages with each other's audiences and grow together. As you connect with different people, you will discover that there are so many ways that you can tap into different audiences. There is podcast guesting, there is blog guesting, there are so many different ways that you can collaborate and share your story with other people, and they can share their story with your audience as well. So I hope this video has given you at least 5 amazing strategies that you can apply today to help you shift your book off that digital shelf and into the hands and the hearts of people who really need it. There is a reason why you were called for such a time as this, to share your message with the world, to solve some problems, to be the light in God's kingdom. At Paper Crown Media, we really are invested in helping you get that message into people's hands, which is why we have the Paper Crown Media mentoring subscription. I will drop the details in the description below. I'm not going to go on and talk about that in detail, but I do want to just very quickly mention that we have an amazing offer to help new authors build their audience before they publish their book. And let me tell you, if you are a published author who are not selling your book, but it's sitting there on that digital bookshelf, then this could also be a wonderful opportunity for you. We have a collaboration book called Paper Crowns. We published volume 1 in October last year, 2024, and we are doing another book, volume 2, in 2025 in October as well. You write one chapter of between 4,000 to 5,000 words. That chapter is then put into the paperback edition that's published on Amazon, but you also get an ebook version of your chapter that's published on your platform. You also get a PDF version of that chapter to use as a lead generator that you can use to start building your email list. We help you build your platform. We create your author website. We also create a sales funnel that's connected to your website, and you can also share that on various different platforms to help you grow your email list. We also give you a huge marketing boost. We create an author bio for you on the Paper Crown Media website. We do podcast episodes. We do continuous marketing for you on all our social media platforms. And we help you start building your community with people who are interested in the content that you are creating. I published a chapter myself in Paper Crowns Volume 1, and I had over 2,000 people download that chapter and subscribe to my email list. These were people who were really connecting with my message of getting untangled from the lies that keep them stuck. And just this week, I have received 2 emails from people who really needed ministry and help. And I am delighted to be in a position where I can use my story to help them get untangled. And I know this is why you are here. And if you are still listening at this point, then I know that you really feel that call to write your book, to share your story, and to make a difference in the world. And the great thing is that you do not have to do this on your own. Working on this book collaboration project means that you are working with 7 other godly, anointed authors, and you will be getting access to their audiences, their family members, their friends as well, which means you have a much bigger chance of actually connecting with the people who need your message. So don't be like me and put the cart before the horse. Start by building your audience before you publish your book. Start building your credibility. Get that connection with the people that you were called to solve problems for. Get out there, go be the light, and go change the world. God bless you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you back here soon. Bye.